Hello, everybody, and welcome to day 2. Let's hop into it. Chapter 4, Kyle. Yow, yow, yow! Miss Bryce is gone. Retired? Out the door and never coming back? I jump out of my seat and smack Brian's raised hand with a powerful, high-speed, all-star high five. Brian returns my smack with one that's even harder. His smack hurts. Brian's big. He's even bigger than me. A hand slap from Brian is worth about 5 slaps from anyone else. But he could smash my hand 100 times, and this would still be the greatest day in the history of the greatest days. We're going to talk loudly, chew gum, and do anything we want, whenever we want. We'll toss spit wads and topple chairs. We'll play games and pull girls' hairs, at least until we get a new teacher. I think of a few more rhymes, which is something I like to sometimes do, although I don't tell Brian and Seth about it. They would say only girls like poetry and think I was a sissy. Anyway, here are the rhymes that I think. Plain is great and candy is nice, but best thing of all, no more Miss Bryce. And also, slap my hand, we're all enthusiastic, Miss Bryce is gone, and that's fantastic. Seth is behind me, palm up and ready for a jam-packed hand slap. His palm meets mine, crack! Seth is the same size as me, so it doesn't hurt as much as Brian's slap. Yes, this is the greatest of days. Yow, yow, yow! Last night something happened that was pretty awesome, too. While Mom was changing my baby brother AJ's diaper, I saw a letter sticking out of her purse. I couldn't help reading it since it was sticking out and all. Letters that stick out of things demand to be read. It was from the accounting company where Mom works. She was offered a promotion, which means maybe we could move into a bigger apartment. We've been stuck in the same one ever since Dad left. Even with one less person, it's awfully cramped with 5 of us kids. When I asked Mom when she'd start her new position, she gave me a lecture about going through her stuff. And then she said that she didn't know if she would accept the promotion. Which is crazy, right? Of course she should accept it. But you know what's even crazier? Having school without a teacher. This might even be better than Mom's letter. Brian and Seth are still jumping up and down and hooting. I hoot too. We stomp our feet. We pound our desks, but not everyone hops and hollers and desk pounds. Maggie in the front row wears a strange frown. She's whispering to Lacey, who frowns too. They look disappointed about our awesome news. I guess that makes sense, though. Miss Bryce didn't like anyone, but she never punished any of those from front row sitting glasses-wearing know-it-all girls. Only the class brains sit in the front row, and teachers always like the class brains. We should tell someone, right? Asked Gavin. Brian, Seth, and I stopped jumping. Tell someone? Brian pounds the table. His voice is low and threatening. No way! We keep quiet. He cracks his knuckles. It'll be the most amazing 5th grade secret ever. Yow, yow, yow! We won't have a teacher for the rest of the entire year. Is that even possible? I want to slap everyone's hand, even Soda's paw. Soda, our classroom hamster, sits in the corner of his cage watching us. His little golden ears prick up and his nose twitches. I bet you that he can tell something exciting is happening. He's smart for a hamster. But how are we going to learn? Asks Maggie, raising her voice. I turn away from Soda to look at her. We go to school to learn, remember? I want to learn, says Paige, standing on one side of Maggie. Me too, says Lacey. She stands on Maggie's other side. Lacey and Paige and Maggie don't really look alike, but they all wear the same thick round glasses. They look like 3 owls, 3 smart owls. Of course, the owls want to learn. Learning comes easy to them, but what about for the rest of us? What about me? See you, science. Goodbye, reading. Math, go away. The only things we want to learn are new games to play. I step forward. We're not here to learn, I insist. We go to school because our parents want us out of the house for a few hours. I know mine do, agrees Seth. We have to go to school, snaps Maggie. It's the law. But it's not the law to learn, I argue. Who says we can't have fun instead? Let's have fun, shouts Brian. He and Seth bang their fists on their desks. Brian lets loose a loud booyah. But not every kid looks convinced. Jade and Eli frown. The twins, Danny and Jasmine, have confused faraway stares, as if they don't know whether to applaud or run into the halls screaming for a teacher. Let's vote, I suggest. We'll decide as a class if we should tell the principal, our teacher quit, or keep quiet. A few students shout their agreement. Others keep their uncertain gazes. Brian yells, vote, vote, vote. And then he adds, and you better vote for keeping your mouth shut. Maggie clears her throat and steps forward, so she's standing in front of the whiteboard. She faces us. removes her glasses, wipes her lenses on her shirt, and then puts her glasses back on. My fellow students, she says, her chin up as if she's running for president of the United States or something. Let me remind you of the importance of our education. How can we expect to do well at Liberty Falls Middle School next year, or graduate as high school valedictorians, and go to college without a solid education? The short answer, we won't. I don't want to be a valedictorian, Brian hoots, and then he adds quieter, whatever that is. Can I still become a stylist? Asks Emmy. I want to work in my mom's hair salon when I'm older. No, says Maggie, forming a fist and pounding her once palm like a hammer to a nail. Without an education, we are all doomed to live lives of failure. My parents say that brains are like babies. Just like a baby needs food and love to grow big and healthy, our brains need reading and studying. Brains don't grow from shouting and jumping around, but from learning and homework and tests. Tests? Says Brian. Are you crazy? Seth joins him in a chorus of hisses aimed at Maggie. I give Maggie credit, though. She doesn't budge. Instead, she purses her lips. Maggie raises her voice even louder to shout over the boss reigning from Brian and Seth, the booze reigning from Brian and Seth. I know that teachers have super easy jobs. I know that it seems like playing games all day would be fun, but without homework, our futures are doomed. Boo, I call. Boo to homework. Surprisingly, Madeline boos too, and so does Jade. They usually participate in class. They always raise their hands. I guess people can surprise you sometimes. The boos are contagious. They start to spread like the flu until half the class is shouting them. Trevor says to Maggie, "Sit down, Miss Bossy." "Vote, vote, vote," yells Brian. Maggie frowns and opens her mouth to speak, but the boos drown out whatever she says. Suddenly, I realize how loud we're being. Keep it down or the other classes will hear, I warn. Oops, I shouldn't have screamed that. But the class quiets. The walls are thick. I just don't know how thick. Who wants to tell the principal we need a teacher, I ask. Raise your hand if you want to blab and ruin everything. Maggie raises her hand immediately, but no one else joins her. Hers is the lone raised arm until she glares at Lacey and Paige. They slowly lift their hands too. Neither looks happy about it. Even the brains aren't convinced we should talk. Some other kids half raise their arms, but Brian snaps a pencil in two and looks around the room. The message is clear. Raise your hand at your own risk. No other arm rises. And who thinks we should keep quiet, I ask. Brian and Seth lift their arms as if they've been shot out of two cannons. Just about everyone in class follows their lead. A few kids don't vote, and Brian cracks his knuckles again. 3 more hands shoot into the air. I think one kid didn't vote, but it's pretty clear which side has won. It's not even close. Looks like we're keeping quiet, I say. But we can't, says Maggie. Stop acting like a third grader, snaps Trevor. A couple of kids laugh. Maggie sits down. She folds her arms and frowns, but doesn't say a word. So we can't tell anyone, I say. Agreed? Not your parents, not your brother or sister, and not even your best friend. Our secret can't leave this room. Swear on the smelly sock, orders Brian. He reaches into his backpack and pulls out an old white tube sock that's stiff and crusty with mud, bird poop, and who knows what else. The room gasps. I forgot Brian still had the smelly sock. It's really disgusting. There's a whole story about it. A whole really gross, practically vomit-worthy story about it. 2 years ago, we found the sock in the bushes outside school. It might have been hiding there for years. We kept it and we formed a smelly sock club. You had to declare allegiance to the smelly sock and kiss it. If you didn't, it meant you hated socks, and you hated socks. It meant your feet smelled like a smelly sock. I'm not sure if that made sense, but it seemed to at the time. Only one kid refused to pucker up. His family moved away last year, and I'm pretty sure it's because everyone in school called him Smelly Sock Scott. I don't even think his name was Scott. Looking back, I feel sort of bad about what we did. Brian likes to pick on some of the kids, and sometimes it's fun to join in, but I don't know. Other times it just feels sort of not right. Brian waves the sock in the air, and the entire class swears on it, including Maggie, and the other brains, and the one non-voting kid. He's a scrawny, quiet kid with short, rust-colored hair. I usually forget he's even there. I think his name is Eric? This is going to be awesome, says Seth. We won't tell a soul. No way, no how. We'll all keep our secret. Yow, yow, yow. Brian puts the sock back into his backpack, crammed between his notebooks and pencil case. I can't believe he carries that thing around with him every day. I'll have to avoid his backpack. It must smell really, really horrible. The class grows quiet and watches me as if they expect me to start assigning homework or something. But this isn't about homework, it's about not homework. What do we do now? Asks Madeline. She's tall and thin, and her voice reminds me of a helium balloon. Play! Yells Brian, chucking an eraser at me. Chapter 5, Eric. I sit on my chair watching the class celebrate. The big goofs, that's what I call Kyle, Brian, and Seth, chuck erasers at one another. Other kids huddle in groups talking loudly about who knows what or jumping around like they have jumping beans in their shoes. I sit by myself watching them. I was the only kid who didn't vote on whether we should tell the principal our incredible news, and I stuck out like a giant nose pimple, one giant unpopped nose pimple. I should have voted. I should have raised my hand and voted for keeping quiet. It's funny. I hate raising my hand because I don't like being noticed, but this time I was noticed because I didn't raise my hand. That's called irony. Irony is when the opposite of what you expected to happen ends up happening anyway. Like when the teacher asks a question and you try to slink low in your chair so she doesn't see you. But then she calls on you simply because she saw you slink low in your chair. There's a thin line between not being noticed and being noticed for something, trying not to be noticed. It's an art to blend in. Keep quiet and keep your head down while avoiding obvious, eye-catching, and unintended ironic slinking. Kyle chucks erasers at just about everyone, although mostly Brian and Seth. That's the good thing about blending in. No one thinks to chuck erasers at you. Still, I worry about our class secret. I see nothing but potential problems. Who will sit in our parent-teacher conferences next month? Who will give us grades and report cards? Who will line us up for lunch? Our principal, and if not him, then someone, is going to discover our secret, and when he does, we'll all be in a giant mountain of mess. We're going to get caught. We're going to get in trouble. We're going to be punished. Man, oh man, are we going to be punished. We'll get detention for a year, be kicked out of school, be forced to eat beef nachos every day for lunch, a food I've never actually eaten but looks frightening in the cafeteria lunch line. I bet even the lunch ladies have never tried it. I think some crabby old man lurks in the back of the cafeteria, inventing the worst foods he can imagine, and then serves them to us kids with beef nachos, his crowning achievement. I've heard rumors that the beef in the beef nachos is made from frog meat. That's probably not true, but I'm not taking any chances. I should write a story about the beef nachos. It would be a horror story. An eraser hits Jade on the shoulder. Madeline sings. Cooper looks through the supply cabinet, probably searching for our teacher's secret supply of snacks. I take out my notebook to write a story. One of the best things about writing is you don't have to talk to anyone or worry about doing something stupid. As soon as your pencil starts moving, you're lost in your own brain. When you can write anything, you can think. And if you make a mistake, no one knows and no one cares. You just erase what you wrote and start over again. I start to write about beef nachos, but then quickly change my mind and begin writing a short story about a classroom just like mine. I call it The Flower Children. In my story, kids goof off and never listen to their teacher. Mrs. Bricks, she tells the kids to pay attention, but they ignore her. Finally, Mrs. Bricks has had enough. No one knows that she's a witch. She raises her wand and turns all the students into flowers. All the loud kids are loud, colorful flowers. The big kids are giant flowers, but one kid, a quiet kid, who no one ever noticed, is a small, dull, nothing stem. Later that night, the principal walks into the class and spies flowers growing next to each desk. Those will make a beautiful bouquet for my wife, he thinks, and he picks them. The large and bright flowers quickly get picked, but the principal doesn't even notice that one boring plant. The next morning, the spell wears off. The quiet kid wakes up at his desk. The other kids wake up in the principal's house next to a broken vase and a small puddle of water that ruins the carpeting. Their principal refuses to believe they were flowers and suspends them all from school. Only the quiet kid avoids trouble. I look up from my story and gaze around the classroom. I was so busy writing that I lost track of what everyone was doing. Adam draws on his desk. Emmy and Ellie write on the whiteboard. Jade and Madeline dance on their desks. They'd better be careful that they don't get hurt. There's no way they can go to the school nurse without our secret leaking out. With a lot of paper and a trash can, Trevor and Gavin play basketball. They both wear matching basketball jerseys every day, so I guess they love the sport. Maggie and the brains thumb through the teacher's files. Cooper eats a candy bar and burps. I think part of the bar is melted since his hands are covered in chocolate. He wipes his fingers on his desk. Everyone is breaking about a dozen class rules. Or rather, they are breaking our old class rules. There are no longer any class rules to break, not anymore. I'm going to open the door, announces Ryan. She wears a baseball hat, which is against another rule. No wearing hats in school. Or rather, that was a rule. It reeks in here. As she walks, she spins in circles like a dancer. The volcano vinegar fumes cover the room in a blanket of gag-creating stink. I forgot about the smell while I wrote, but now that Ryan mentions it, the odor bombards my nostrils. I pinch them shut. But before Ryan opens the door, Kyle yells out, "Wait!" Everyone stops what he or she is doing and turn to stare at Kyle. "It's just," he begins, "it's just that I bet the smell will keep teachers away from our class. We should keep the door closed and let the smell stink people away, at least for a few days. It'll just seep through the crack under the door and last longer that way." I would have thought Kyle was incapable of a good idea, but he's right. We should keep the lingering smell if we want to be safe. No one wants to enter a room that reeks of vinegar. It's a pretty big idea from Big Goof. I'm surprised. I didn't know the Big Goof had ever had big ideas. Ryan spins back to her seat, leaving the door closed, and Kyle hurdles an eraser at her feet. It appears that Kyle is back to being a goof. I wonder how long we'll keep the secret, though. Someone is going to spill it. But I know I won't say a word to anyone. After all, I find it easy not saying a word to anyone. I am not a colorful flower. I will remain quiet and planted right on my seat. Chapter 6, Kyle. The apartment building hallway smells of curry, and the odor gets stronger and stronger as I hurry past apartment 3F. I want to fling open the door and tell Mrs. Singh, who's probably inside cooking, "My teacher quit! My teacher quit!" I imagine running down the entire hall screaming at the top of my lungs. Someone would probably yell at me to stop running in the halls, but I can't say a word anyway. I'm sworn to secrecy. It's hard to keep secrets, and yow, yow, yow! Do I have an epic secret? This afternoon was fantastic. We played Eraser Wars, which is a game Seth, Brian, and I made up, and threw Lacey's book back and forth while she shouted at us to stop. I just laughed, but at the same time I was laughing, a small voice inside my brain kept telling me that this was all too good to be true. "Come on," said the voice. "You can't goof off with the rest of the year." "Shut up," I told the voice. "Why not? Go away. Let me goof." We have to keep our traps shut. That's all, and then nothing will go wrong. So I marched down to my apartment hallway without banging on doors and without hollering my secret to everyone in the building. As soon as I open my door, Nate rams into my leg. "Be careful, little guy," I say. My almost 4-year-old brother wears a blue superhero cape, but nothing else. He bounces up off the ground and runs into the kitchen calling, "I'm Captain Nate!" "You go, superhero," I say with a laugh. In the kitchen, 2-year-old Leah sits on the floor banging pots and pans. Crash, bim, tang. Nate sits down and joins her in the mayhem. Mom yells from a back bedroom, "Kyle, is that you? Can you take out the garbage and put the pizza in the oven for dinner? I'm going to give AJ a bath and then put him to bed." I want to ask if she's taken that promotion yet. When she does and we move to a bigger apartment, I hope I'll finally get my own bedroom. I'm sick of sharing one with Nate. "In a minute," I yell. I walk back into the hallway and close the front door, which I accidentally left open. Mom hates when I do that. In the family room, my 6-year-old sister Marley watches cartoons. "Move over, Squirt," I tell her. She frowns but wiggles over. I drop my backpack on the floor. For the first time in forever, there's no homework inside it, no test to study for. I spread my arms and smile. This is how prisoners must feel when they are let out after months or years of being locked away. Freedom! I leaned back on the couch. "20 years, cried the judge. The crook sobbed. "You're too cruel." The judge shrugged. "Could be worse. I could send you to school." On the television screen, Squiggle Cat gets poked in the eye and he yells, "Yow, yow, yow!" I stretch out my legs and laugh. This show is an hour long, with lots of short episodes. Each is funnier than the last one. "How long until the pizza's done?" Mom yells from a bedroom. When I hear my mom, I sit up. The pizza! Dinner! I'm starting it now! I spring off the couch, back in the kitchen. Leah and Nate have grown bored with pot banging and hitting the floor with a pair of wooden spoons. Leah hits my leg with the spoon and I growl at her like a bear. I raise my arms as if they're claws and bend down. Roar! She laughs and hits me again with the spoon. I suppose she thinks I'm more the teddy bear than the grizzly bear type. I doubt most of the kids in school would agree with her, though. A commercial blares from the family room television. I need to get the pizza in the oven and my butt back on the couch fast. I don't want to miss the show. I take the pizza from the freezer. The directions are on the box. Preheat the oven, put in the pizza, set the timer. Easy. I turn on the oven and then, wait, stop, take a breath. Mom needs 2 chores done. What was the other one? The garbage, right. The trash smells like it hasn't been emptied in days. And then I remember that Mom asked me to do it yesterday, but I forgot. The show's back on, Marley says from the family room. Yow, 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 yells Squiggle Cat. I'm a blur of action. I grab the garbage bag and heave. The top of the plastic bag tears, but I slide it out anyway. I cram the pizza carton inside, although it doesn't fit so well. But it's only garbage. It doesn't have to look neat. You're missing the show, yells Marley. I know, I holler back. The garbage chute is all the way at the other end of the hallway, so I'll walk the trash down later, after dinner, or after that. I place the bag in the hallway, then I hurry back to the kitchen, toss the pizza in the oven, set the timer for exactly 18 minutes, and bang, bang, I plop back on the couch, just as Squiggle Cat gets poked in the eye. Yow, 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 he screams. It's a funny show. Marley and I roll over on the couch laughing. I close my eyes to take a short, happy nap. What's that smell? Mom asks a few minutes later. Or maybe it's a lot later. I pop open my eyes. A strong burning plastic stink streams from the kitchen. The oven timer is buzzing. Mom dashes through the hall and into the kitchen, and then she's yelling words that if I said them would get me grounded for a week. I jump up from the couch and I peek into the kitchen. Smoke swirls, and it would probably set off our smoke alarm if I had changed the batteries like Mom asked a few weeks ago. The new batteries still sit on the counter. A daily reminder to put them in, which I always swear I'll do later. Mom removes the pizza from the oven, melted plastic merging with cheese, and tosses it in the sink. I was supposed to unwrap the plastic film from the pizza before I put it in the oven. But the directions didn't say that. At least I don't think it did. The timer's still ringing and Mom turns it off. I think it must have been going off for a long time. The buzzer's hard to hear over the TV when you're napping. All I ask is for a little help, Mom yells at me, and yells as if I'm not good for anything. I was trying to help. And then Leah, who's sitting on the floor gnawing on her wooden spoon, starts crying. Mom stops screaming and bends down, wrapping little Leah in a big hug. Look what you've done, she snaps at me, although it was her shouting that made Leah cry. I step back to the family room where Marley's still watching TV. I walk with loud, angry stops. I bet our neighbors downstairs can hear me, their ceiling shaking under my footsteps. I just wish I could snap my fingers and be back in school. My friends don't act like I'm good for nothing. They don't care if I can't follow a few stupid directions. Now, without a teacher, I won't have to worry about following directions in school again anyway. I can do whatever I want, whenever I want. Without a teacher, we won't have any rules, which sounds perfectly awesome to me. Join me tomorrow, day 3. I can't wait to see what happens when the kids get back to school. Have a great night, everybody.